So I finished the last video by saying that we practiced a bunch of equation problems, one-step equation problems, but it was inequality problems. But it just comes to show you that in my mind, they're pretty much the same thing. Inequalities or equation problems, you solve them the same way. The only kink, the only difference is that when you multiply times a -1, you're supposed to flip the sign. And I actually think about that working in every time, but except when you have an equal sign, flipping it makes it look exactly the same, right? Because an equal sign is symmetric. So if I flip an equal sign, it still looks like that. Of course, if I flip this sign, it will look like that. But other than that, it's pretty much straightforward. You basically solve them all the same way. So here's one more example of that, right? So if you have 16 bigger than W plus 16, you got to get rid of this 16 first. So what would you do? You have to subtract both sides by 16. And then when you do that, you get 0 bigger than W, which could also be written as W smaller than 0. You're looking for numbers smaller than 0. Since you're not including it, there's no equal sign. The 0 is unshaded, and you go to the left. So again, that's just a standard equation being solved. It's just that you have an inequality sign there. And then you have to graph it if they ask for it. How would you do this if there's a word problem? You do it the same way that you would if there was an equation. You come up with a representation, an expression that symbolizes the problem. Maybe you do some visual diagramming to think about it, and then you try to figure this out. So try to figure the one that's in the wall. We have $250 to pay per toll. How many times can I fly if I have $1,500, right? Can I fly once? Can I fly twice? Can I fly 3 times? Can I fly 10 times? So you do an inequality to represent this. How would you do it? Okay. So because I can fly at most a little bit, depending on how much I have, right? So I have $1,500 is the limit, the upper limit of how much I can fly. So that's going to be an at most situation. And so you're going to need a smaller than or equal sign, 1,500. $250 is what you charge for each time you fly. So it's $250 times the times you flight, gives you at most a certain number because of 1,500. Now, once you have the expression, you can figure it out that you have to divide both sides by 250 to find your answer, which is 6. Meaning I can fly 6 times or 5 times or 4 times. Any number of times smaller than 6 would work on this Milky Way lane. All right, let's try one more like this. So your book report must be at least 500 words. So look at the keyword at least. So far, I have written 334 words. How many words do I still have to write, right, on my inequality in order for this to work? So I almost treat this like it's an equation problem. And then I realized I could write that many words or more because it's an at least problem. So thinking about that, what is the equation you need to create when you need inequality? It will look like this because you have to write 500 words at least. So it's 500 words or more, but I already have 334. So what number do I add to that to get to at least 500 words? So that's an expression that could work. So once you have the expression, you realize you have to subtract both sides by 334 and get that I have to write 166 words or more to satisfy the requirement of 500 words. So yeah, it's not easy to make these equations, but it's the same process as you normally would to solve equations. Just remember those key words, at least, at most, right? And what they mean. And remember that chart that we looked at before can help you visualize those words and transfer them into inequality expressions. But my technique is thinking of it as a normal equation and just thinking afterwards about what the sign needs to be. So I'll see you guys next week when we're going to be talking about doing 2-step inequalities. I'll see you guys then.